For the last few weeks, I've been pretty sick. It's been hard to do basic activities or leave my apartment. When health consumes the season you're in, our goals, needs, and happiness can also be consumed. This left me pondering an overdue question. How important is happiness? How much do we think about happiness? As someone with mental health challenges also, happiness can seem hard to come by at times and is so precious when it does. The past few months have been full of small in and out moments of happiness and big moments of struggle. Our creative aspirations, hobbies, and crafted moments can play a big role in that, including our well-being, jobs, and financial situations. To be honest, I've spent a chunk of my mental conversations trying to uncomplicate the idea of happiness. I think a lot of us are chasing, gripping, holding on to happiness in some way, really every day, and are trying to decide if happiness is a hypothetical, fantastical construct, or if it's something we actually have control over. So I've come up with this idea of constructing happiness. In pursuit of this new idea, I decided to piece together my day differently moving forward. It has been gloomy and raining for a few days, which I do love, but has been adding to my depression. I woke up in a lot of pain and fatigue and tried to think of an activity to still try to get outside as the weather forecast was nice for at least a few hours. I suggested the park and Ian happily was on board. So I forced myself to walk around through my exhaustion and try and notice the little things I think I would have otherwise missed. I believe it is in our nature as humans and a deep desire at least to become perfect. If we're not happy the moment we wake up or during what should be a quote-unquote beautiful day or event, we think we're broken or that something is wrong with us. However, how often do you think you miss out on good moments because you're too, scared with wanting to make it last longer, or why you're not happier in the first place? Many of us try to cram real happiness in a space in our mind that is compared to our fantastical happiness. I became actionable to implement things that made me happy, such as taking a break in my workday, making my favorite foods, calling a friend, or saying no to something I didn't want to do. Therefore, I create my own happiness, not based on what's in my head, but in the reality of what I could conjure up that day. So, for example, today I also decided to rummage around the kitchen and I found a packet of yeast and just the right amount of supplies for brownies. I decided to make both to add to what would have been a pretty normal spaghetti dinner, and despite my exhaustion, I pushed through in an attempt to find the special in the ordinary. Saying no to something or even saying no to an emotion doesn't automatically cancel out the potential joy you can have in an experience or day. I tell myself I will readdress those emotions after. We don't need to solve all our feelings in one moment. I'm not saying the emotions or thoughts don't exist. I'm not denying that I need to be cared for. I'm just prioritizing my tasks or potential joy over them as best I can. To be aware of where you are in a day and then creating change or choices based on that and not your desirable escapist mind where we can get so distracted imagining the better made such a big difference. It's made me more observant and grateful because now I am more present and actively looking for good things. If you have a fun idea or something that will bring joy to someone's heart, I encourage you to go do it, plan it, be actionable, and make friends with your happiness. You don't need to wait for what society deems as an important moment. Every moment is important if you want it to be. And ask yourself, how much happiness am I losing for fantasizing a false expectation that I'm in a certain season of life when I'm not? What amazing joys am I not appreciating now because it's not a perfect joy? I'm always thinking about where I could be and trying to construct ideals and visions and days around resources I don't have yet. Sometimes we need to go through the weeds to find our bits of happiness or our resources, to find joyful things, even when stuff just sucks. Going through the weeds is not reserved only for the bad days, but every day in my book. It requires us to get painfully honest and hold up a magnifying glass. Another idea of this, of course, is in prayer, and sometimes to move our hearts to feel like we're building a conversation with God, we have to be in the weeds. When I read scripture, I notice how specific some of the disciples are when asking questions, and therefore how detailed Jesus explains a response or how he prays. Details matter. In terms of prayer, I tend to pray for awareness, to be more aware of these gifts of blessings and to redefine what makes me happy. Sometimes just opening your heart and mind hurts. There are days, moments in a day when joy seems so far, when intrusive thoughts are so overpowering we feel broken beyond repair. I also find myself falling into the constant thought process that my emotions impact others deeply, and that makes me anxious. That I have to be happy in order to be loved, to be desired or wanted around. I overthink and overread others' reactions to my emotions or how I act in a day. This creates a pressure cooker mentally. I start clawing for happiness and panicking when I'm not for the sake of my relationships. I've tried really hard to grasp onto this idea of a new day. With mental illnesses, a new day used to feel truly useless. I would say, I have chronic illness. Who cares about a new day? I would fear sleeping and waking up in a cycle that would constantly continue. This, for me, was my harm obsessive compulsive disorder. But when a new day comes, new opportunities and moments present themselves, new laughter, small jokes, and fragile seeds. And with every passing day, wounds big and small heal. So that terrible day you had, where you fear you may have been negatively impacted, or you negatively impacted another person, where you fear you've wounded yourself beyond healing, it's already far away in their minds, and it should be in yours too. Our minds love to make everything feel like everything is big because we are the center of the universe in our own heads. When you put God at the center of the universe, you're in His grip, not your own. People don't observe your happiness with a fine-tooth comb because they're already trying to do it for themselves. You don't need to be embarrassed. You don't need to feel like you need to conceal your suffering. It took me a long time to learn this, and I often need to be reminded that I am not an unhappy version of myself or day. It's just a day of growth and learning. Ian and I are at a special place with transition due to our engagement, and that's being marked by our invitations. I decided to change the typical couch dinner to something a little more special. The invitations I designed with illustrations myself, and we printed out and put together by hand. We decided to pray for each person or family together as we made them. It's another example of making something ordinary, or what would have been kind of unfun, into something special with a little pre-thought and intention. To the lovely, wonderful, amazing, intentional friends here who all have a light of joy within them, I hope you find moments of happiness this week, and you recognize them, embrace them, be actionable with them. I hope you enjoy and notice the little things this week, and I hope you're happy this week.